Hey girl, hey! Welcome to the Late But Blooming channel. I am your host, and I want to again welcome you to the channel. I have been putting this off for the longest time, talking about I'm going to do this, or I'm going to put it to the side this, and I don't want to film until I do that, and blah 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 blah. But in the spirit of just taking the first step, here we are in my complete rarest rawest form. This is me. It is what it is. We're not dolled up or none of that stuff because it's actually really chilly outside and it's just like a chill day. So there's no makeup. I'm not worried about no hair. All of that stuff. It is what it is. But I did want to take the time out to do this video. So the point of this whole platform is to help others to understand, grow, survive, thrive after toxic and or narcissistic relationships. It'll be more focused on narcissistic relationships as I have more experience with that, as I myself was in a toxic narcissistic relationship for almost 20 years. We hit the brick wall at 17 where it was finally like, okay, I understand what this is now. And now that I can understand what it is, I can't unsee it. So we have to move on. We were married for almost 7 years before I called it quits on everything. And it's been a year and some change since we've been separated. My divorce has been officially finalized. So I am officially divorced, a single woman, now entering into the next phase of my life, which is thriving as someone who is recovering from a narcissistic relationship. So an interesting topic that I thought was a good place to start because it does two things. And not only one talks about the topic in particular, but it also narrows down some of the key signs on what narcissism actually is. Because back when I first got into my relationship back in 2006, and back into I'll say my former relationship because we don't claim that no more. We're not in it no more. That's a chapter that's done. But nonetheless, 2006 is when I first started to date my now ex-husband. And back then I was 21 years old, so I was young already. I was young anyway, and still very naive to life and real relationships outside of, like puppy love relationships and high school relationships. I was still a little bit naive to it. It wasn't, of course, my first adult relationship, but it was the first one that was like really serious for me. But I always felt like something was a little off on it. Just, of course you didn't see it then because you don't know, or I didn't know what a narcissistic relationship is. I didn't know what a narcissist is at the time, hadn't heard it. Now, of course, because there's more awareness surrounding mental health and mental disorders and things like that. It's more prevalent, more to the forefront. It's a little bit easier to see. There are some moments where you have to really pay attention, but it's more of a talking point now. So it's something that people can go into a relationship and actually look for now, opposed to not knowing what it was and you're actually just in it, trying to trudge through, and then almost 20 years down the line, you realize, oh, that's what this is. So, yes. But the point of this, and what made me want to go ahead and do this video, is just all of this stuff that's happening with Drake right now. After this whole Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef thing, Drake is literally having a narcissistic spiral because has not been able to overcome the narcissistic injury that was imparted on him when he lost the battle against Kendrick Lamar, because he just couldn't fathom it happening. He thought bigger than life itself. He thought that he was the one, the only, the GOAT. He thinks that he's the best rapper of all times, and Kendrick really exposed him for what he actually is, which is a visitor in the space in general. It's like, Not Like Us really shows that, yes, you're not like us. You're not like the people you are trying to perpetrate that you are. The personalities, and you can see that in all of these multiple personalities and these different genres and these different accents that Drake walks around in. He literally turns into a chameleon to try to suit whoever he's trying to manipulate, basically, like whatever audience he's trying to manipulate or become a part of, he turns into the person he needs to be for that. That's a huge trait of narcissism. That is because a narcissist doesn't really have their own set personality. Like, they are really empty vessels who leech and take traits from this one, that one, and all that to try to build their personality, because they really don't have one of their own. At some point in their childhood, typically between the ages of between 7 and 11, something happens with them, whether it be abandonment from a parent, something physical, sexual, whatever the case may be. Something happens to them that completely stunts their growth from there. And unless they actually, decide to, hey, I recognize this, I need help in this area, let me go get help from someone who can help me in this area. If they never recognize it or acknowledge it or seek help from it, they're basically stuck at that age. Even though they may be 30, 40, 50 years old physically, mentally, and emotionally, they're still whatever age they got traumatized at. So you don't need to have all the traits that are associated with narcissistic personality disorder. There are 9 in total, but in order to be diagnosed as a narcissist, you only need 5 of those traits. You need to hit 5 of those points to be considered diagnosably a narcissist. So I'm going to read some of those traits to you, and I'm reading this from dukehealth.org. So it's just not like somebody's blog or anything like this. Is literally a medical website. So yes, you can use an acronym basically to describe the traits called Special Me, and it's sense of importance, preoccupation with power, beauty, or success, entitlement, can only be around people who are important or who have status, interpersonally exploitative for their own gain, arrogant, lack of empathy, they must be admired, and they are envious of others or believe that others are envious of them. Now, I'm nobody's psychiatrist. My degree is not in that field. However, all of those traits, not just 5 of them, sound like Drake to me. Just saying, allegedly, all the things. But that's what it's giving. Drake, since he's come onto the music scene, he has this sense of importance like that. He is the guy. There should be no one above him. He's the guy, right? He's preoccupied with power. He wants to stay at that top seat. He wants to be the best-selling record. When the list of who is the greatest rappers comes out, he wants to be on that list. And if he's not, this whole lawsuit right now is proving that he has a problem with that. Because if you go back to the beginning of this whole battle in the first place, he was the one who kicked this battle off. He was the one who set up J. Cole to do that first-person shooter song, thinking that Kendrick was okay with being a part of it and it was going to be the 3 of them, when really he set J. Cole up because Kendrick had already said, no, we're not doing that because we already got issues that me and you got to deal with before we do anything. So now it looks like J. Cole has picked a side. So now when Kendrick responds on the Like That record, he's like, And then after that, when J. Cole apologized and was like, I didn't even have no issue with it, I don't even know why I came out with a beef, Drake got mad at that. Why would you get mad that he apologized if you weren't trying to use him to get you a one-up on Kendrick, right? You have this sense of entitlement that you should be the best no matter what. Again, this is where this whole, they use bots, they paid for payola and all this. Sir, at one point in time, your music was on everyone's playlist, all genres, all platforms, no matter what song it was being played. Country music, somehow you were in the playlist. Jamaican music, somehow you're in the playlist. Reggae music, now you got an accent, you're on the playlist. Like, so you can do it, but no one else can do it? Which I don't even think that's honestly the case about what happened with Not Like Us. Not Like Us just happens to be one of those songs that is a banger from the gate. When I first heard that song, it was a rap. And I am a Kendrick fan. Now, I'm not a stan to the point where I've heard every single song and can quote every single song. But I have a good knowledge of Kendrick Lamar's music. I'm very much a fan of his music. Section 80 was one of my favorites. I played that so much in 2011. And 2011 was a really shitty year for me, so not much made it out of 2011. But that album and all the music around it was one of those things that made it out of that time frame for me. So that was a really... so like I said, that just shows a sense of entitlement that he has, thinking that, oh, well, yeah, sure, privileges, I can get those privileges, but if someone else might even hint at or possibly have those privileges, no, I can't. You know, interpersonally exploitative for their own game. This is a whole thing when it comes to, like I said, this genre switching, language hopping, accent hopping that he does, where, like I said, one minute he's a reggae artist, the next minute he is, Spanish, the next minute he's from Houston, the next minute he's from Atlanta, and once he sucks those artists dry of their music and what contribution they can do to his music, he skates on them. You never see him with them again. He's arrogant. I feel like I don't even have to say anything about that. Like, if you pay attention to Drake and you're not a stan of Drake, you know Drake's an arrogant fella. Just is what it is. He has to be admired. He must be admired. Again, we see that happening right now. That's what led up to all these lawsuits, because you've seen that, oh, yes, I did, tell him to drop. Oh, you're not going to skate out of this one. Drop. But when he dropped and he beat your head in, it's like, oh, the fans are siding with him. They're not looking up to me anymore. Oh, no, we have to stop this. This must be stopped. We cannot have this. Sounds like a narcissist to me. And it's just, like I said, it's crazy, because as soon as I saw that he had put out these lawsuits, that's the first thing that came to my mind. It was like, he's had a narcissistic injury from this. Because once a narcissist has a narcissistic injury, they basically would cut their nose to spite their face. Anything to get back at, whoever they feel has wronged them. They will do whatever it takes, even if it's to their own destruction. And that's what's happening now. Because he's trying to, from my opinion, from the way I'm seeing all of this, is he's trying to do all of this as a way to kind of make it impossible for Kendrick to perform Not Like Us when he performs in the Super Bowl in February. He's trying to get as much attention off of that as possible, which is backfiring, because people were really starting to, I won't say phase out, because even I still listen to Not Like Us, and I know for a fact that I played that song like 3 million times by myself. I played that myself. I have a 2-year-old who, once he hears that beat, must that on that beat, he turned up, because we love that song, but it was starting to phase out of people's rotation, especially with Kendrick releasing GNX this past week. We're starting to listen to that now. But in putting out these lawsuits surrounding Not Like Us, you're just making us go back to that song and relive why we loved it so much. Why it was the song of the summer. Why the video was so hot. You're just reminding us all over again. So you're starting the machine back up. While you're trying to stop it, you're putting attention back into it. You're cutting your nose to spite your face. No rappers in the history of rap, literally, let alone rap battles, has ever filed a lawsuit. And again, I was born in the 80s, and again, I'm a rap fan. So I grew up in the 90s, Jay-Z, Nas, Big, Pop. I grew up in that whole era. And them niggas was beefing, okay? Saying the wildest of things. Nobody ever sued anybody. This is the first time that anyone has ever sued somebody behind rap beef. And for you look corny as hell, and you were already considered a corny guy anyway. You were corny, but people still liked your music, and I won't front, because I have Drake is on my playlist too. I haven't played him so much since the whole Kendrick and, since the Kendrick beef and everything really came to a head. But Drake is still on my playlist, and he has some songs that if they come on, I vibe with him. That's cool, you know what I'm saying? But I also don't consider him a real rap superstar legend on the Mount Rushmore of rap either. But there are people who do. But this move here, real rap gods don't do this. Literally, no one has ever done this. You look corny as hell. You look like somebody on the internet called him Jupac. And that's what it looks like. You look like now, because nothing else has worked, you tried to rap against them, it didn't work. So now let me, my mom's side is going to come out. I'm going to call corporate. I'm going to HR. Because there's no way that this little short black man can be doing this to me. There's no way this short little black man beat me for real. It has to be the bots. But it's like, did it though? Was it the bots? I don't think it was the bots. But that's a narcissist for you. Like I said, they have this sense that they're just, because they are them, that they're entitled to all the accolades, all the praise, whatever they want. They should be number one, first consideration, top spot with everything, no matter what, because they are them. And I just felt like it was interesting to see that this man is really spiraling. He's having a narcissistic spiral. And unfortunately, when it's all said and done, this is going to cost him his career. And that's not to say he can't go independent. Of course, he can put out music by himself at this point. He has enough stands to still support him in that. But as far as legacy is concerned, this is a huge stain. This is a huge stain that I don't think it'll be overlooked. I don't think it'll be overlooked. And on top of that, you're suing your record label and Spotify. And they said, somebody said Apple's in the mix. Maybe not as a direct respondent in the lawsuits, but he mentioned Apple, and it was another platform that I can't think of right now. But what do you plan on gaining here? Do you really think those platforms are going to want to work with you or show you the same amount of love that they have been showing before, since you're trying to take them through litigation? Because they're not. Because they're not. I think that would be the last thing you do. So I think he's really, like I said, cutting his nose despite his face, when all you have to do is take the L. You lost. It is what it is. You don't win them all. And unfortunately, you met your match. When he was beefing with Meek Mills and he was dropping on the songs, and he back to back was played everywhere. That's another song I played maybe 1 million times myself. And it was all good because you were on top. You felt like, I'm admired. You know what I'm saying? I got the power. I'm successful. Look at me. I'm Drake. I'm light skinned. Some days I wear bows in my hair. But now when you lose, it's wild. It's just wild. But that's the type of personality that, like I said, a narcissist is. They don't necessarily, they lack foresight. They just can't see things going bad for them. They just can't see that because they're them. They feel like everything should go their way. They should have it all because they're them. And when they don't, or they don't get their way, they spiral. I mean, they spiral. And he's a perfect example of this. Right now, he is spiraling. And the lawsuits are just petitions right now for possible lawsuits. If he were smart, and if he paid attention to the comments and everything, like we know he does, obviously, because we're here at this point. You've seen the comments. You've seen that you're not as popular as you were before entering the battle. You've seen that people have been adamant about you lost that. But I would really take the time, if I were him or his PR people or whoever, and go through them comments to see where everyone is saying that this is a bad idea. And I would pull those from going any further. We would not take that any further because it's a bad idea. Because even if you go through all of this, again, what's the end goal? What happens now? Because sure, you could be suing them, because one of the reports said he's suing them for upwards of $2 billion. The music group, UMG. First of all, and I did I say million? Because I meant billion with a B. $2 billion. Sir, You think you're going to get $2 billion out of people? Especially when the allegations are something that you have benefited from in the past yourself. And then once all of this goes through all the litigation process and everything that they're going to do, you think they still going to want to mess with you musically? Okay, so cool. Let's say he go indie. Cool. You go indie, you still have to go through the same processes. You just got to work a lot harder at them to get your music out and promote and to do this and to do that. You just got to work a lot harder because now you're doing it for yourself. You think anyone's going to want to pick you up? You think people going to want to promote? Like, you're going to get asked about this all the time. And we know you don't want to do that. Because you don't even want to sit and listen to a song by someone else that you claim to be basically one of your ops, The Weeknd, which Drake only claims The Weeknd to be an op because The Weeknd didn't sit there on that label and let him drain him for all his talent and then throw him to the side like he did so many other artists. That's why he considers The Weeknd an op. But he was on a live stream and the streamer had a playlist going and The Weeknd came on and Drake made him turn it off or he was going to leave the stream. That's the type of person this is. So you think this type of person, on top of that's what you're doing publicly. Everything that's been accused in the background, and on top of this, you lost the battle, you're doing all this lawsuit stuff. No one's gonna. Do you want this to be the end of your music career? Are you done with music? Because again, you can do indie, but Drake doesn't give me he wants to work that hard to do indie. He's made it to a level where he feels like, again, he's entitled. He feels like, I'm at the top of the game and that's it. Why do I have to work all this? I'm Drake. I don't have to do all that. I feel like I said, this narcissistic spiral that he has gone through is so interesting. This is what a lot of narcissists do. In one way or another, they lack foresight. They don't think that their bad behavior or poor decisions will ever cost them anything at the end of the day. And until they're proven to be very wrong in that assessment, and even then they don't want you to take accountability for it. I don't think I'll ever see Drake just be like, I lost. It is what it is. He's a great artist. I don't think we'll ever see that happen. And if we do, wow, that'll be a complete 180. But I don't think we ever will because, again, I truly believe that based on the characteristics and the way Drake presents himself, that he is a narcissist. And they just don't understand that their actions actually have consequences. And then when those consequences come, they don't want to take accountability for those consequences. So it'll be everybody else's fault. Just like right now with the suits against UMG, it's UMG's fault why Not Like Us was such a great song and they defamed him and they should have did this and they shouldn't have let the song come out with the lyrics that it had or they should have censored the lyrics. When has that ever been a thing in rap battles? Never. Never. But again, he lacks the foresight to know that this is a terrible idea because he's spiraling and he can't see more than I'm in my feelings and I'm in my feelings. That's it. Point blank period. Let the chips fall where they may, basically. But so I just found it interesting. And like I said, because this channel will be dedicated to more in-depth education, basically, and stuff about narcissism and toxic relationships and individuals and things like that, I just felt like this would be an interesting topic to take on because it's a good example. It's a public example. Even if you yourself have not been in a relationship with a narcissistic person or someone with narcissistic traits or, a parent or, sibling or whatever the case may be, you haven't directly had any experience with that type of personality. Drake is a public figure and he's a clear sign of narcissistic personality disorder. Like I said, I'm nobody's therapist. I'm just reading what the therapists say. And according to Dr. Zach Rosenthal on dukehealth.org article, these are the traits: sense of self-importance, preoccupation with power, beauty, or success, entitlement, can only be around people who are important or special, so they can in turn feel important or special. interpersonally exploitative for their own gain, arrogant, lack empathy, must be admired, and are envious of others or believe others are envious of them. We're going to get into it with each video that goes by. So hopefully you stick around, because if I can save y'all a couple steps from the stuff that I had to go through, and I can help someone else along the way, as we continue on this growth journey, and we're full time with real time, not full time. We're doing it in real time, as I continue to grow and survive and thrive and reach the peaks I'm going to reach. Hopefully, like I said, I can help someone out there to do the same, because like I said, it was a doozy to even go through that. But like I said, once you see it, it's like, oh, okay, now I can't unsee it. And that really is like the first, that really is like the first light bulb moment that will help you to move forward, so that you can get out of that situation, mourn and heal, and reach your best self. And that's what this is going to be all about, guys. So until the next video.